Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Johnny Venerable, Bulbrock. It's Tuesday, which means we bring in the expert, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, NFL Insider, here to talk. Brian, we were talking off air, the best news imaginable. I mean, the Cardinals win a game, 13-point underdogs at home against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, where do we even begin?
It was a great piece of coaching. I mean, that was the number one defense in football. That was a defense that was living on takeaways, sacks, defensive touchdowns. They didn't get any of that stuff. Very little of it. I mean, Micah got him a sack late in the game, but for the most part, I mean, he wasn't a factor in the game. They didn't let him be a factor. They popped a couple of runs like they did the week before. We're finding a lot more about Joshua Dobbs. I think anybody knew that not only is he, run 10 times 5 for first downs, but he's taken off and not when he's just running 44 yards. I mean, he's also able to elude the rush, keep plays alive, all the things that you have to be able to do in this business. I think that's part of it. And then, look, Jonathan Gamble's got some young coaches on his staff. I mean, I know Nick Rales a long time. Like those guys are listening to him. Guys are listening to their coaches. They're playing hard. We talked last week, guys, that there's no tanking going on. It's not happening. But then, in the second half, they got tested by Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. Because, we talked about it last week. Here they are against Washington. They can't finish these games, right? The New York Giants, and this week they finished. And what'd they do? The Cowboys went straight down the field 4 drives in a row. They're inside the 10-yard line 4 straight times in a row. Get an interception, stop on downs, held to 2 field goals. They couldn't score. Like, you got a Ketrell Clark out there, got a rookie against CeeDee Lamb. Like guys are balling up, and it's a credit. You're seeing Kazir White, who was with Jonathan in Philadelphia. Man, the guy's a good player all over the field, intercepts the ball in the end zone. I mean, look, that was the difference this week versus the first 2 weeks. They finished where they had to finish, where they had to make those plays in the red zone, and they made them. And those are the type of games against, look, if you went and pick another team that's without a win, you'd feel good. But you beat the Dallas Cowboys that came in number 1 offense, number 1 defense. Like you could say, okay, like what we're being taught, what we're being told is a winning formula.
I see Chris Ramos here in the chat saying favorite segment. It's my new favorite segment as well when we catch up with our guy Brian Baldinger, of course, NFL Network, doing some great work across ALLCITY for us. Excited to talk to him each and every week. Unbelievable. And where to start? I mean, you kind of went on every single talking point I want to get into here, but Joshua Dobbs, I heard another analyst call it a potential career catapulting performance. What did you see from Dobbs, and what do you think that he can gain from the stellar performance he had on Sunday against the Cowboys?
Well, you can only grow and you can only improve in this business by playing. Like it's an unusual sport. If you want to become a better free throw shooter, you can go in your basement or you out in the driveway and you can work on your free throws. The only way you get better at quarterbacking is by playing. And so we know that Josh, just intellectually and IQ, he's very smart. That's good. That's, there's all different levels of intelligence that can play this game. But that he can handle a great volume of information. But the key is you don't need to be a Mensa on the football field, but you have to be able to absorb information and know how to use it. And he's making good decisions. Hasn't thrown an interception, right? Making good decisions. He's seen the field really well. He's extending plays when he has to. And we've seen him get better each week. This is, he's only played, I think, 1 game before this, or maybe 2, I forget, in Tennessee. But honestly, we've seen him get better each week right now. And so it doesn't matter how you come into this league or how you got to where he's at. He's on his, 3rd or 4th team. He's been out of the league. Is all that stuff. It doesn't matter. He's getting an opportunity right now. And Jonathan saw something with Colt McCoy there and all preseason. He saw something. People question it. Okay. Well, he's answering a lot of those questions right now.
Baldy, we always hear there's a famous term like running the football is a mindset, right? You have to commit to running the football in the NFL if you want to succeed at it. And the Cardinals have not had a rushing attack, albeit through 3 games, comparable like in my adult lifetime. I've never seen them effectively run the football like this. 222 yards after 150 yards the prior week. Like, is it scheme? Is it personnel? I mean, they lead the NFL 20 plus plays of run plays down the field. I think they've got like 8. I mean, where does that come from? Is because I know, like, I like Paris Johnson Jr., I like Will Hernandez. This isn't like Dallas's offensive line in like circa 2015. Like this has to be something more than that.
Well, I always say this. I mean, you could, okay, let's go isolate on Paris Johnson. Let's see how the rookie's doing. You could do that. I always try to evaluate offensive linemen as a group. Like, they play really well together. But if you're going to run for 222 against Dallas, I mean, first of all, all they want to do is rush the passer. So you kind of know that going in. Like, they want to run around blocks. They want to get upfield. They want to chase the quarterback, because that's what, that's how they got to the number 1 defense. And that's how they've led the league in takeaways over the last 2 years. So that let's go see if we full scoop the backside, if those defensive tackles inside can get off a block. Well, they couldn't get off a block. And really, it's never just the line. It's always the receiver. When you talk about popping 20-yard runs, it's always about perimeter blocking that gets you there. You need, whether it's Hollywood or Zach Ertz. I mean, I've seen Zach Ertz block better than I've ever seen Zach block before. Like, he couldn't block his shadow in some cases in Philadelphia, but he was fine with that. You can only honor one God. He was a receiver. But, he looks like he's actually getting into it right now. And he's asked to be that second tight end in situations. But it's always the tight end and the receivers that help you get to that next level, like they have in some of those James Conner and Joshua Dobbs runs, and Rondale Moore for the touchdown. I mean, the way that they're running it, you get on the moving sidewalk with Rondale, he's just going to run right by that defense like he did.
We've gotten in a little bit on Nick Rollis already twice in your 2 appearances on the show, but we haven't talked too much about Drew Petzing. And I don't know what you know about the 35-year-old offensive coordinator for quarterback coach for the Cleveland Browns, but I mean, he's the architect of these big plays, these 7 explosives from Sunday, big 69-yard pass and catch with Michael Wilson, where I don't know if I've seen somebody that wide open before outside of Tyreek Hill at the NFL level. What are you seeing schematically that Drew Petzing is doing so well that's putting this offense in a position, especially in the first half? Like, Baldy, they've had 10 consecutive drives in the first half where they've been in a position to get points. And I got to imagine that a big credit to a first-year offensive coordinator in Petzing for that.
Well, what you need in this business is explosive plays. You've talked about it in the run game. You got to have it in the pass game. I've watched the Baltimore Ravens today. They can't get an explosive play. And that's why the Colts were able to beat them. You've got to take your shots. You're going to see Cleveland Browns. They got the number 1 defense in football. I mean, it's just bombs away. Now, they're not completing a lot of them, but if you're not taking shots in this business right now, the way the Cardinals are, the way the good teams are, you're not going to get the defensive pass interference. You're not going to get the illegal hands to the face, illegal contact. I mean, you're not going to get those first downs and those big chunk plays down the field if you're not taking your shots. So it has to be part of the game plan. And so I feel like he's had a good idea about how to mix those in, because you can't have a steady diet of it. You can have a lot of long strikes too. I mean, it's a low percentage throw, but you still have to take them. And so they're connecting on a bunch of them. And that's a credit. Like, okay, these are our shot plays. Let's make sure that we build them in and that we use them. And we know, look, you typically shot plays come on first down, where you still, if you don't make it, you still have 2 more downs to get the first down and hold on to the ball.
I think a lot of Cardinal fans are cautiously optimistic, Baldy, about how the season has started, but waiting for the proverbial other shoe to fall. And unfortunately, with Cliff Kingsbury's teams, that's what happened. As the year progressed, didn't really matter the talent level. The Cardinals, unfortunately, just couldn't keep up as the season went on, November, December football. Like, what they're doing right now, is this sustainable in your eyes? Can they keep this up over the next 14 plus weeks when Kyler Murray returns? I mean, injuries notwithstanding, we can't predict that. But with what you see on tape, is this something that can carry them through the rest of this year, where they can remain a competitive team despite, let's just call it, some talent deficiencies right now?
Well, I think, they've got a good scheme. I mean, they come at you in a lot of different ways. I think the key right now is the secondary is playing well. Now, I know against the Giants, they gave up some big plays, and the Giants schemed those up. But for the most part, they've kind of kept things in front of them. They did certainly last week against Dallas. I mean, they kept CeeDee Lamb in check. I mean, guy caught 108 passes last year. He's their go-to guy. Brandon Cooks, Gallup, like those guys didn't beat him last week. So I think if you keep things in front of you, Jalen Thompson he's just an excellent safety. Let's just face it. Like the guy's a tackling machine. Yeah. He's an excellent player. The play in the end zone was excellent. But, you're playing look, Cottrell, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Clark out there.
Yeah.
He's a rookie, but, he had some tough moments out there. But the thing about if you have the right young guys, like they're going to make mistakes. They're going to get handsy. They're going to get called for pass interference. You're going to get those calls. It's going to happen. But if you have the right guys, they're going to grow from it. And they're going to be better players in week 12 than they are in week 3. If they're the right mindset, the right type. And it looks like, because he defended CD in the end zone after those holding calls, like it looked like he was able to erase it and go on. But I just think they've got some possessed guys, like sometimes, like I know Kazir White, like I know he started with the Chargers coming out of West Virginia and Philadelphia. Like he found a home, he's not like they found a place for him, Kayvon Wallace never found a home in Philly. Never. He could never get on the field. They had good safeties. Like he's found a place. And so sometimes you just need hungry guys, and I feel like they got a group of those guys. They're not listening to the noise. They're not listening to even our podcast. Is shoe going to drop or anything? Like, I think they're dialed in right now. And look, they got a hell of an opponent this week. They might be the most complete team in football. So, like, I don't know if they're going to get run out of the gym or not. But I don't think they will. And I don't think you'll see any quit. We saw a team down in South Florida. That's what it looked like it happened to them.
I mean, when you look at the next opponent, the San Francisco 49ers, similar to where the Cowboys were going into last week, a high-powered offense, potent, obviously a good quarterback, and then a vaunted defense that can do a lot, and they lean on their star, like number 97 is compared to a guy like Micah Parsons that the Cardinals did relatively well against, gave up the 1 sack, but other than that, they kept him from being a game breaker. What do you like? What can apply from last week to this week, or is it a completely different animal?
Well, I think it's different. I think San Francisco is far more complete. I mean, when you look at Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, I think they're the best tandem of linebackers in football. They generally don't make mistakes. Like, you have to beat them. Like, like the Cowboys were in wrong gaps, and they played poorly up front. Like, the 49ers don't play like that. They attack the line of scrimmage almost unlike any other team in this business. And they do force you into mistakes. And let's face it, the quarterback is, he's Robert Redford in the natural right now. I mean, he hasn't thrown an interception in 7 games, 7 straight games. It's uncanny. Yet he's still aggressive with the ball. Now, that's something to look forward to. Like, can you get your hands on the ball? Can you get him out of the pocket? Can you force him into a mistake? Like, I haven't seen anybody do it yet. But that's something I think the Cardinals, like, you got to get quick pressure on him. He reacts quickly. He'll see the zero blitz, and he'll see all that free hitters coming, and he makes good decisions. But, you've got to constantly challenge a player like that to try and disrupt his rhythm. Because if you allow him just to go through progressions, like he goes through them like a Ginsu knife through steak.
So we didn't have a chance to chat about this last week, and it still might be a little bit premature, Baldy. But, Kyler Murray, we feel like is going to come back sometime soon, maybe hopefully in October. What do you think the coaching staff needs to see from Kyler Murray, not only in practice, but once he takes the field? Like, Dobbs has done a masterful job, and who knows, he may continue to build off of this. Most importantly, he's not turning the ball over, 0 interceptions. Like, Kyler Murray comes with a weighted price tag, $45 million, and there's a robust quarterback class next April. But they want Kyler Murray to be the guy. So, what do you expect that they hope to see from him once he takes the field?
You see, I'm glad you asked me this, Johnny, because I tell you why. Because I said this when Gannon got the job. Like, Jonathan Gannon just watched Jalen Hurts make the biggest jump we've ever seen a quarterback make over the course of 3 years. We've never seen a quarterback go from where he was to an elite players where guys like Bill Belichick are saying he's the MVP of this league. And and I happen to know Jalen a little bit. Like, you're talking about a complete and total 100% commitment to the game. And so, I think John Gannon just has to look at Kyler Murray and goes, look, I don't care what you've done in the past. I don't care the type of things that you did or didn't do, that you got away, that you didn't get away with. All I know is if you want greatness, I know another quarterback from Texas. He's not from Allen, Texas. He's from Houston, Texas. And Jalen Hurts. And the only thing that's important to him is just winning games and the complete commitment to winning games. Everything about him is just that. Off season, during the season, practice, off days, like he's all in. And Jonathan Gannon knows what that looks like. And if Kyler doesn't give that to him, then I would say, look, find somebody else. Because that's what it takes. That's the only way you're going to be successful. And Kyler has the talent. He needs a full commitment. And the good thing is his head coach knows exactly what that looks like.
That's a great point. I mean, we've seen it so far during this kind of the honeymoon phase of this relationship, though. There seems to be a recommitment from Kyler Murray. We'll see what that looks like when he gets back on the grass. Hopefully soon. He'll be eligible to return from the PUP list. Last question for our guy, Brian Baldinger, who's going to join us every Tuesday here on PHNX Cardinals, is the Arizona Cardinals can shock the football world for a second consecutive week if they do this against the Niners.
Well, I think that you got to, however you can do it, you have to shorten the game. You can't allow this game to get away from you because they just have too many good players. They just pile on. So however you do it, you steal possession, you take it away. You have ball possession, long possessed drives. You've got to keep the ball away from this offense as much as you can. And you can't get behind against this team. You can't get 14 points behind. They're just almost impossible to come back on. So you got to go toe to toe with them, and you can't back down. And you have to execute at the highest level. If you look at a James Conner run last week or a Rondale Moore reverse, whatever, like they're perfectly executed plays. Like you can move the ball against San Francisco, but it takes that level of execution. And if you could do that, just in the moment, just execute at the highest level, then you could keep this thing close. If you could keep it close in this business, I mean, it always comes down to who makes a play at the end, if you could do that. And I would say that's the style and the mentality that they have to have against the 49ers. I
just want to say the Arizona Cardinals 1-0 since our guy Baldy started joining us on a weekly basis here at PHNX Cardinals. That's right. Baldy, thanks so much for stopping by to talk with you next week.
I'll talk to you, Johnny. Take care, Bo. Have a good week.
Awesome.
Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, Bo. I mean, just the best 15 minutes of Arizona Cardinal content you can get right there.
Yeah, you can only get it right here. It's fantastic. I've been tuning into him joining CHGO Bears, and he's trying to help them pick up the pieces with what's going on there, and of course our guys at DMVR.
That's true therapy sessions going on. This is like the best part of his week. I'm sure you got to go talk about the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. Yeah. Oh man.
Let's talk about Vance Joseph's Broncos defense here. 70 Burger. You guys got anything else you want to talk about? I don't know how to tell you.
How many times you guys have? Oh man, that's just the best. I mean, I'm gonna gloat about this show and this podcast and this network. You can tune in and watch my guy Bo Brock chop it up with Saul Bookman and Greg Dortch at 12:30 on Tuesdays, and then we've got Brian Baldinger, NFL Network extraordinaire at 4:30. You can't beat that. I'm gonna tell you what else you can't beat. Our friends at BetMGM. It felt like they were giving out free money this weekend. Not only were they doing $10, you get 200 in bonus bets. Cardinals were plus 525, and I'm going to tell you right now, similar line going on with our friends at BetMGM. So again, if you think the Cardinals can make you some money ×2 this weekend, do it with our friends at BetMGM. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Visit BetMGM.com. Sign up with promo code PHNX. Again, $10 is going to get you $200 right now. I'm on it constantly. It's like Christmas morning. Bonus bets, opt-ins, boosters. Love a good booster, right? So if you're thinking, I'm just going to take my $10, I'm going to play it safe. Maybe a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, which hit last night. Maybe an over in Mike Evans receiving yards also hit last night. Take your 10 spot, boost it, make some money. If it doesn't win, how about $200 in bonus bets? But you got to sign up with BetMGM. You got to use that bonus code PHNX. Now, check out the show notes for full details. Now, listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Shane Diefenbach is a sweet man, horrible fantasy football manager like Johnny Venerable. I beat him this week.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Your boy did win this weekend.
Okay.
And Shane is okay. That's rude. I'm trying to stay out of the Waffle House, bro. It's called survival. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm glad you're surviving. I'm rooting for you, but I'm also beating down opponents that get in my way, like Shane Diefenbach and the rest of the PHNX crew, and sending them with parting gifts. OGs, mixed bags of OGs, gummies, the fruits, the creams, and people can decide for themselves whether they're a big-time fruit person or a big-time cream person, or if they just love the mixed bags, like our guy Britton Golden. He's just like, I'm a man of many flavors, and I like the creams and the fruits. He likes the red apple, but he also likes the orange creamsicle. So the mixed bag's great for him. You can check out their full product line right now, ogsbrands.com. It's always there for you to check in on, see what deals are going on as well on their socials at OG's Brands. And also you can find them in your local dispensary. You just got to be 21 years or older to purchase OG's. We love OG's. ogsbrands.com.
Yeah, our guy BG, I asked him point blank. He gave me a dead stare. I have no preference. I will try any flavor, and they're all great with OGs, so you can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong with these super chats. You guys are fantastic. Starting this Football Tuesday, Tyler H, 269, nice. Dobbs response to Parsons on TikTok was fire. Josh Dobbs' social media game is elite. I think we can all agree on that, Bo Brock.
Yeah, we were going to get the video, the footage of him going into the Cardinals team store and not being able to get his number 9 jersey. And then I guess there was already follow-up is a couple days old. I'm not as up to Dobbs on TikTok as you are. I'm not dialed in like Johnny Venerable is on TikTok with Josh Dobbs. So we didn't have the footage ready for today, but it's out there. I guess he found a solution. He was able to purchase his number 9 jersey. He didn't have to get like an old Isaiah Simmons jersey and like put duct tape over the nameplate.
That would have been great content, though. I would have loved that. I would have been all here for that. Listen, Cardinals have a lot of issues, or they've had a lot of issues on and off the field. The people at the team store are great. They always take care of me and my family when we go in there. Like, I will give them a pass. Dobbs was acquired in late August. Okay,
right.
Like, I don't know how quick you can scrap that together. I'll give the Cardinals their due. Like, they're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. Let's get back to our super chat here. Topic 64, loyal viewer and listener, always bringing great insight to the show and always appreciate the super chats. 199, love the show. Let's boycott PFF. I was talking to Topic 64. You guys can talk to me just as well through DMs or whenever, but talking to him off the show. And he was breaking down PFF and where they fall short. And yeah, I mean, we've always maintained that it's just a part of the equation. It's their grading system. You got to take with a grain of salt. I mean, you take, just the black and white grades, and then you also have to do your own eye test when you're watching the game, because when you see some of the grades, sometimes it doesn't match what you witnessed each and every Sunday.
Yeah, like when we see Elijah Wilkinson struggle and then the grade supports that, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then James Conner and Josh Dobbs have good days, and they are the two of the highest rated players. That makes sense. It's the minutia of like the middle section of this roster where like Paris Johnson Jr., I saw even more film of him on the Twitter streets today, like mauling people and washing out Micah Parsons, and they just gave him like an average grade. It's just like, I think the Cardinals will take an average grade from the folks at PFF and feel good about where they're at with number 70. I think it's going to be all right.
When you look at JT, when you look at Keitrell Clark, the tough assignment, it doesn't tell that story, right? It doesn't tell that it's a 6th-round rookie that's going up against a legit wide receiver 1 in CeeDee Lamb, and he's making plays. Like the plays that he gives up often overshadow, the plays that he's making to get the team off the football field sometimes. And that's unfortunate. And that's why it's just a part of the story. It's not the full story with PFF. Also, 1-letter difference, PFT, our old nemesis, Mike Florio, Did you think that after the Arizona Cardinals win and all the shit that he talked throughout this offseason and into the season that he would maybe take some old medicine as far as or eat some crow? Well, not so much. The Cardinals did move up his power rankings, but look at this backhanded compliment from Pro Football Talk's power rankings. Our guy Howard Balzer pointed this out to me today at media availability. Cardinals at 1 and 2. They are up 11 spots from 32. Think of how good they could be if their off-season decisions prioritize winning this year. Mike, you ever heard of a rebuild, my man? You wanted the Arizona Cardinals and Monty Ossenfort for Jonathan Gannon to push all the chips into the middle of the table like Steve Keim did every offseason and just really handicap this team's like ability to consistently be successful. I mean, how thick-skulled can this guy be?
Well, if they had re-signed Zach Allen and Byron Murphy, surely they would be in the Super Bowl bubble. Like
right.
They 100%, they'd be undefeated. Zach Allen would be up for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't mean to keep ripping on Zach Allen, but remember those conversations? I'll be transparent. There are some guys I would like to have seen this team add in free agency, and they didn't do it, right? But again, I'm going to go off of the results right now. There are a few positions where they are just an absolute dumpster fire. Like most of the positions, they're pretty solid at, if not good. I think James Conner is going to make a Pro Bowl this year at this current rate. I think Jalen Thompson should get Pro Bowl votes because you're white. Dennis Gardeck has 3 sacks in 3 games. Victor Dimukeje, who Vance Joseph refused to play. He dominated the Cincinnati Bengals coming off a Super Bowl in the preseason, and Vance Joseph said, no, thank you. That dude's on pace for double-digit sacks. So I think, again, I can get upset about it.
Right.
They went into the season, they're like, we are going to evaluate what we have. And with some guys like D-Hop and Isaiah Simmons, they're like, we're good. We only need a hot minute with you. Get out, right? And so Isaiah Simmons and his 5 tackles and D-Hop with his, 80 yards receiving, right. It's like they made the right choices there. So they will spend money next year, too. I think that's what, Florio doesn't understand. They're going to extend some of their own guys, right? And then they're going to go out and they're going to add some needs. But I don't think they're going to – this regime's never going to go nuts with money. Even if they had a rookie QB on a contract, they're not going to go out and give somebody $150 million that's never been on their team. And that's the right way to do it. I think Kayvon Wallace deserves some attention this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yelda Froldholt, if he continues, you want to lock him up, right? You want to do some things to keep continuity. But Florio, to me, Jason McIntyre, who's in the same ballpark as Florio, called the Cardinals today on the show a JV team. It's just excuse me, they just beat the Dallas Cowboys. Cowherd has come around. Basically, he was I was wrong about the Cardinals way better than I thought.
Did he get did he get any of his Sunday picks? Because I know he's 0 for 10 after week 2.
I have no idea. I don't take my betting advice from him. I only do it from my guy Damon Dog on PHNX Bets Daily Podcast. But I mean, there are people who have sunk their heels so much on this team, and specifically Gannon, that they refuse to admit, we messed up. This coaching staff is way better than we thought, and that's sad because we can mess up on this show and be hey, that's a mistake. Dennis Gardeck's a really good player. I was wrong about that. Can't people just be as humble as I can, Bo Brock?
I mean, you are the humble king. You are the absolute humble king. And
Wing King, the Pumpkin King, the humble king.
I mean, Zach Allen signed a $45 million contract, $15 million per. He's got 2 hurries on the season. He's got 2 quarterback hits in a hurry. No sacks.
Ooh.
And I'm sure he's about to go on the IR with whiplash because watching Devon Achane just zip past him and the Broncos defense headed to the end zone.
Can we be real about Zach Allen for a second? Nice guy.
Yes.
He should be writing JJ Watt a thank you note every day of his life. Because I'm going to tell you right now, his game was elevated by playing next to 99. And that is in dispute. You can't dispute that now. I don't care how bad Denver's defense is. He's got the same coordinator. He's playing the same role. He was elevated by playing next to JJ Watt. And kudos for Ossenfort of seeing that. And he's I'm going to pass. The Cardinals tried to re-sign Byron Murphy. They tried to give him a 1-year deal. They did not try to re-sign Zach Allen.
Byron Murphy was celebrating the start of free agency. He was ready to go. I mean, it was going to take them coming way over the top to get back into negotiations with that. I think he graduated on from the Arizona Cardinals, and he's having a tough time right now in Minnesota. They're 0-3. and he's not playing that well. And that secondary is getting exposed. And I like what I've seen from a 6th-round rookie starting in his place in Keitrell Clark, and Marco Wilson, I think, had a decent rebound game after a tough time against the Giants. And the defense is in the secondary for the Arizona Cardinals. It's night and day from where it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want Byron Murphy on your team, but like you don't necessarily need him, right? Like, it's not a
Jalen Thompson. Remember how Byron Murphy was known, like his best fit was slot corner, where I think Jalen Thompson is playing way better than what we saw from Byron Murphy.
I mean, Jalen Thompson, to me, like, Keim, his draft record is abysmal, and it's just coincidental. Like, the one time he drafted a player, not during the draft, but in the supplemental draft, like, it's probably Jalen Thompson's probably one of the 5 to 7 best players Keim ever drafted. He's in that category with David Johnson, John Brown, Tyron, Kyler Murray, of course. Like,
right.
And there's not very many, as we've seen. Topic 64, $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much for the love. If we can beat this top 5 team called Dallas, we can beat anybody. JG and coaches can out-coach them as long as the defense is on point. We can't lose. So proud of these Cardinals. I mean, this is a week filled with pride. I can't tell you how many people have DM'd me this week and said, I was wrong about this team. Like, it resonates with people even when the talent level maybe isn't there in some spots, like when you play hard. And like, that's sad. Like, the bar's low right now for this franchise, but it's earned to be low, and people are coming around. And I would love to see a complete 180 shift to the home environment by the end of the year. I know that's asking a lot, but I don't know what the last home game is of the season, who it's against, but to re-welcome and reintroduce people to Cardinal football here in the Valley, I think that would be a great springboard into 2024. Let's get people back in the stadiums with red and white on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to take, consistency. I mean, people always want to root for the underdog, right? And they want to see teams that full of underachievers overachieve and be ahead of schedule. That's always a fun story. But then you see the raised expectations. We've seen it, like, right? 2015 team is in the NFC Championship game. They're poised for a big year in 2016. They fall short of expectations. They get back in this vicious cycle of getting those expectations raised again. And then once they get back there in 2021 and 2022, they fall horrendously short. So hope that the new regime is a completely different, just operation and I guess, direction as far as getting away from that, to where they're going to draft and they're going to develop guys and they're going to find guys that fit their system better than necessarily the big names out there. And it goes not only from the front office with Monty Ossenfort, who was reportedly their second choice, and Dave Sears, who they bring in from Detroit, who was, on that staff, but not the main decision maker in that front office, but obviously so important to what they've done in this rebuild, to their coaching staff, just filled with unknowns, from their head coach to, the guys making the main play callers, to other coaches. And then the roster's just filled with guys that they identified to fit these schemes. And it's guys that, well, why didn't you go out there and throw money at a more well-known name? And it turns out that these guys are just better fit to successfully run these plays and these systems and these calls.
Yeah. Another fit that has been is en route is Roy Lopez. As you pointed out on Twitter, Bulbrock, the Cardinals have added a defensive lineman who, by the way, was getting sacks in the NFL last year and is healthy now. Bo, what can you tell us more about the addition this week? Because I think it's clear Cardinals are trying to load up on bodies on the defensive line, maybe to help offset some injuries, but to prepare for Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, you can envision a future where their defensive line is stout and they've got rising stars at the position, but now they're just trying to find guys that fit the system and fit this rotation, and that can, when they're fresh, they can make impacts. And we saw, when they're not fresh, what that looks like in the second half against the Giants. And when they are, you bookended between that, you've got Washington, how they play so well. And then, of course, their win against the Dallas Cowboys, they were fresh, even though they were down 2 of their starters. But I there wasn't a big difference between a Carlos Watkins and LJ Collier and, the guys that they were bringing in, 7th rounder and Dante Stills or Ben Stilley. And I think that Roy Lopez, who they bring in, everything that I've read about him and I've seen about him is he's got a high motor. And he's a guy that had a lot of respect from the Houston Texans organization, and there just wasn't a spot for him. They had an injury settlement that I believe they came to, and he became available for the Arizona Cardinals, and they've identified him as somebody that they're going to add to their team. And Saul Bookman, of course, a U of A guy, loves it that they're bringing in a former Wildcat.
U of A legend.
U of A legend, Roy Lopez.
Yeah,
What's he legend for, Larry, for?
What constitutes you being a legend at U of A? I mean, I'm curious.
Well, he came to us in a really, really bad spot and transferred in and was like one of the few hits of a very, very awful team. So I like him.
Was he? He was the end of the. He was in the Sumlin era.
Yeah, I believe the last year of someone, and then he played
it's
one
like
year.
26 or 27. So yeah, not a Jeb guy. He definitely was a Kevin Sumlin guy. And I don't know who he is outside of when he played a little bit for Houston, had a cup of coffee. But
yeah,
he's an.
They played locally at Gilbert at Mesquite High.
Oh, I'm sure he's fired up. Maybe he plays his best football to date. If he's healthy, he's got some explosiveness to his game. And like, if you're sitting there on your keyboard at home saying like, this isn't it, like, look at some of the defensive linemen they brought in over the course of the offseason. Like, this fits who they kind of target. They're going to come in and they're not going to ask you Vance Joseph style, hey, you just got here, can you play 80% of the snaps, please? It's like, no. We'll have a very specific package for you, and then we're going to rotate, right? So come in this possession, take out this possession, whatever. It's working right now. Saul Bookman in the chat. His dad coached at Marcos de. How do you pronounce that?
Marcos de Niza?
Yeah, de Niza. So that's why I love it. Gotcha. Listen, I love when they bring local guys home. I don't love the narrative when they're like high draft picks and you're like, local product, it's got to work out. But, you know, how many times have we done that? Christian Kirk, Byron Murphy.
We just talked about Byron Murphy.
Yeah, we do that a lot here.
I think he'll fit right in. I really do.
I mean, that's my point I'm trying to make. And
I think a lot of like the consensus or the group think idea of who is a good fit on defensive line isn't necessarily what Monty Ossenfort, Dave Sears, and Jonathan Gannon believe is a fit. And I think that if they identify a guy, they think it's gonna he gets a jersey and he's already on the active roster and he gets a jersey on game day, he's gonna get an opportunity to make an impact.
I'm really curious beyond this year how they choose to address this. Is this a one-year Band-Aid kind of philosophy, Bo Brock?
Yeah.
Because it's certainly not what Philadelphia did. Like Howie Roseman drafts high-end defensive linemen seemingly every year. Edge rushers, defensive tackles. Like, are the Cardinals going to do that? Are they going to pay people in free agency? Or is this always going to be a paint-by-name numbers kind of, we're going to maybe some mid-rounders, we'll add some guys, mid-tier guys, and we're just going to rotate? I would think that like they would like to add a impact 3 to 5 technique this offseason. Now, does the draft offer them that where they're picking? We're going to talk about the draft here in a little bit. Is free agency fool's gold? This franchise has been fooled many, many times, was trying to sign defensive linemen, Jordan Phillips, Darius Philon and company. You know, JJ Watt was good the last year he was here, but like that's been a huge hole for this franchise. I tend to think like I like what they're doing this year, but this feels like a Band-Aid philosophy in the short term.
I think if Monty Ossenfort came in here any other year and there weren't so many black eyes surrounding, you know, this organization didn't have as many black eyes as it did, that he would have taken a chance potentially on a Jalen Carter, right? But there was just they couldn't make that move. You couldn't do that.
And Jalen, to me, and like this is going to come off wrong, and I don't mean this to sound, you know, I don't know. Jalen Carter, it's not about his play on Sunday. It's about, are you going to get a phone call in June or July, right? Are you going to get a phone call when the season's over and he's going to be suspended? Right. That's what you're worried about. So like these people who are playing like GM keyboard warriors, it's like, look, he's great. Well, we fucking knew he was good. He was the best player in the draft. Oh, look at all of his pressures and his sacks and his hurries. Yeah, he was awesome at Georgia. He's a blue chip generational player. But the Cardinals could not have a scenario in which, yeah, he's great as a rookie, and then, you know, something happens in February. Like, then you're just like, well, we told you so. We feel pretty confident. Paris Johnson, the Eagles have the infrastructure to support that. Exactly. Maybe the Cardinals do next spring, Bo, in 2024. They didn't have that 6 months ago.
But I'll say this, and I can confidently say they'll invest future draft capital in the position, and they'll invest free agent dollars. I mean, Monty Ossenfort was part of a Tennessee staff that drafted a Jeffrey Simmons. I think that's a position that they want to put some blue chip caliber players on. They don't just think like we're the smartest guys in the room and we can identify it and take these underdogs and they're going to continue to overachieve. Like, I think at some point they're like, once we get these, the Jordan Davis, if there's a Jordan Davis available in the next draft,
right,
like JG got his hands on last year, like they will absolutely load that room up. And once it's at full strength, look out, because what they're doing right now with these patchwork guys, it's pretty incredible already.
I mean, it makes you salivate, for lack of a better term. With the and I say that with all due respect to the guys they brought in, but like, they have 6 picks in the top 75 next year, potentially 2 picks in the top 10 to 15. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But Bo Brock, you had a chance to catch up with Drew Petzing. Drew Petzing, really the belle of the ball right now with this coaching staff. And I like Nick Roush. We knew about Nick Roush, right? Petzing was the one coming over from Cleveland as the quarterback coach, working with Brissett. It's like, sure, he's a Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan disciple. So is everybody these days. What makes him special? I mean, what do you think it is with Drew Petzing? And do you think the Cardinals firmly have somebody that can stick with Kyler Murray long term?
Not just Kyler Murray, but just an offensive play caller that gives you a chance each and every week. The fact that he's gotten 28 points in back-to-back weeks, the NFL level, against the Dallas Cowboys defense that was, top 2, I think, coming into it. And they had all these, they'd kind of wrecked the game plans of their opposition the previous 2 weeks. And Drew Petzing not only avoided that, his offense continued to thrive in the first half, put his offense in a position to get points. And then he was able to learn from his mistakes the previous week, the 3 and outs, the 3 consecutive 3 and outs that cost them the game, or was a part of the reason why they didn't win that game and they couldn't run clock and salt the game away. He learned from it and remained aggressive, but was able to make the correct calls out there. And Drew Petzing, I think, proved in just seeing how open guys were getting in positions, in utilizing the diversity of the receiving core, from Rondell Moore in the backfield to Michael Wilson getting open, to Hollywood Brown making plays in the red zone. He showed that, he's one of the brightest young offensive play callers in the league right now. And the Arizona Cardinals, regardless if K1's back or you got Joshua Dobbs there, he's going to put you in a position to where you're going to be able to get points and get multiple, close to maybe double-digit play drives, but also get those explosives mixed in. Like Baldy said, you have to have explosives. And so far, Drew Petzing has shown the ability to get those to show up. Like, I feel like, I don't know where the explosives were at this point last year, but I guarantee you they fall very short compared to where they are. 7 in last week's game alone. Drew Petzing has a great knack for finding ways to hit on those big plays when they take the opportunity at them.
Well, the explosives were manufactured by Kyler Murray off script, it felt like, against the Raiders. Like, it was not in the confines of the offense. Like, just trying to put it into context, Bo Brock, like, watch the Jets play. And they have Garrett Wilson, and they've got Breece Hall, Elijah Vera Tucker up front. They've got Dalvin Cook. It's a nice collection of offensive personnel. They are unwatchable offensively. Now, a lot of that has to do with Zach Wilson. The Cardinals have had a quarterback for 2 minutes and an offensive coordinator that, maybe flew under the radar this offseason and put up 28 points against the number 1 defense in football. I mean, what would the Jets do? They would kill for play like this offensively right now. They kill for 20 points. The Cardinals back-to-back 28 points. Like, I'm pretty sure they didn't do that all of last year. They're 14th in points per game. They're an above-average offense. They're an above-average team right now. We saw Kyle Odegaard, friend of the program, tweeted out their top 10 in DVOA. It's just it's a feat where you want to give the players credit. And I love Josh Dobbs as much as anybody. I was fired up when they acquired him. Like, this is a coaching clinic right now. Nick Roush, and especially now Drew Petzing. Drew Petzing, who took arrows from me on this show after week 1 against Washington. Not good enough. Got to figure this out. Do we have issues about JG being a defensive head coach? And, I mean, the offense has been the catalyst for the revival at home these last 2 weeks. Like, that gets people fired up. As much as I love great defensive play, when you're manufacturing points, like you broke down 10 straight drives with opportunities to score points in the first half with Josh Dobbs and a rookie wide receiver that fell at the end of the 3rd round. I mean, that is unbelievable. And a backup center from Cleveland. And to me, Petzing is you feel like it's just going to mesh so well with Kyler Murray. You just can't wait to see it.
Yeah, you can't wait to see it. But I love what I've seen in the development of Joshua Dobbs. Getting a little bit off script with the Zach Wilson. Did you see what Joe Namath said about him? How he's seen enough.
I'm done watching now.
But is Joe Namath one of the more overrated sports figures of our lifetime? He's got one moment where he guaranteed a Super Bowl.
Insanity run.
I mean, one moment. And he's got to be in his 80s, and people are listening to what he says. He's got 220 interceptions in 140 career games. He had a 50% completion percentage. And he's sitting there and he's saying he's getting nauseous watching Zach Wilson play the quarterback position.
I get nauseous thinking about that time with he and Susie Colbert on the sideline.
I want to kiss you.
That's where most people associate him now. I mean, say what you want about Zach Wilson. I mean, he at least, keeps it together when he's trying to hit on everybody's mom. And that's what he's going to be doing the rest of this year as Mr. I mean, he's got plenty of time to do that when he's off the New York Jets. But I mean, like, it felt like somebody put it in the chat, like Cliff Kingsbury was running this offense last year, right? They didn't really have an offensive coordinator. Remember, people wanted them to hire an offensive coordinator. It's like, if Cliff's not calling the plays and producing,
right,
like, what's he doing here? Why is he around? And then inevitably it led to his dismissal. But like, that's where the Cardinals were last year. They had a coach that, I mean, it's like Brandon Staley trying to coordinate defense and with the Chargers. It's the equivalent of what we were watching last year. So just shows you, man, like, you can have all the skill players. You can have a high-end quarterback play. If your coaching staff blows, you're going to get exposed, because these are the elite of the elite, right? You can't hide with some FCS school, college football, play in a shitty conference, get to a bowl game. It's like Cardinals play in the NFC West. They play against potentially 3 Hall of Fame level head coaches. 2 of those guys have rings. Kyle Shanahan could get a ring this year. Like, if you suck at head coach, if you're a liability, you will consistently be bad. You just can't win on talent alone. The Cardinals, they found that out this offseason. They're like, we got to get some grown-ups in here to run our operation. And, Michael Bidwell, say what you want about him. He hired the right people and he stepped away. Yeah. And the Cardinals are better off for it right now.
They are. And, the offensive play caller, Drew Petzing, he's shown a lot of maturity for a first-year coordinator. He was asked, 2 consecutive weeks, you see the offense, trend in the right direction. 20 points in week 2 in the first half, 21 points in week 3 in the first half, 28 points overall in both performances. How do they make the next jump? And this was Petzing's answer.
Yeah, I think if we're going to get to where we want to go long term, I think we need to improve every day. I think that's the mindset that we have to take in the meeting room. That's the mindset we have to take on the field. Whether it's individuals improving, whether it's the scheme improving, I think that has to be at the forefront of everything we do in this organization.
So pretty simple, right? Not content by any means. And we've shown the graphic a couple times. Do we still have that first half graphic, Damon? I think we do. Where you look at this, and Joshua Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals' first half performances over the last 2 weeks, 10 consecutive spots to get points, 9 straight of getting points, but missed field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, 4 touchdowns in 10 attempts. And I think the next step here, Johnny, is using that diverse wide receiver group, James Conner, the skill set of Joshua Dobbs, and converting field goals into touchdowns. That's the next step, don't you think?
Well, is that asking too much, though? Because I mentioned on yesterday's show.
I'm not saying go 9 for 9, get 6 each and every time. But I think if you get one more touchdown there, I mean, you win week 2, right?
You're scoring over 30 points a game with Josh Dobbs. I think, I see what you're saying. And I think with Kyler Murray in the fold, like, that should be the goal. When you have a franchise quarterback paying big money, I don't know. I'm hesitant to put even more on this offense. I think zero turnovers, running the football effectively, anything over 20 points you're in good shape to compete and win the game, assuming you're not playing a juggernaut every week like San Francisco. Like, this offense in its current form is going to keep them in games against the Bengals, the Ravens right now, the state of that team, the LA fucking Rams that look terrible. I'm sorry, I'm not a buyer in Seattle. Like, the title of the show today are the Arizona Cardinals a playoff team with Kyler Murray? I think I mean, like, I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the NFC at the end of the year. Will they have enough wins? I don't know. But to me, it's like you just keep the train on the tracks. I don't know how much better Josh Dobbs in this offense can be. Like, I didn't see him missing a bunch of throws this past week.
But you've seen the potential, right? I mean, you've seen the potential from Josh Dobbs. I know it's of him to parlay that into consistently making those plays. Like, he had a career game on Sunday, and it was impressive for anybody's standards, right? I watched JT O'Sullivan's quarterback school breakdown, and when I mentioned it, I referenced it with Baldy.
With him?
What's that?
Was it with the episode he and I were on together?
which is funny too. So if you have taken the time to watch the quarterback school video of Joshua Dobbs, what was JT O'Sullivan's reaction when you first wanted to talk Joshua Dobbs 4 weeks ago?
So I was on with JT. That those tapes have been burned in the archives. Like they'll never be released to public. And I was asking him about Josh Dobbs, and it was not complimentary. I mean, like, JT wanted no part in talking to your boy, which is fine. He was supposed to talk to Bo. I slid in and was a substitute that day, and he was not complimentary. He also said to me that he thinks Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray right now. So then I was a little bit irritated, and he was talking up your boy Drake May too. So Josh Dobbs is a replacement level player.
I'm sure he was singing a different tune. He called Sunday a performance that could catapult a career for Joshua Dobbs. And I don't think that that's incorrect. I mean, I think that Joshua Dobbs had a coming out party on Sunday, and it had the notice of all the other teams in the league that, you know, obviously there's a handful of teams each and every year that are looking to upgrade at the quarterback position, that you see the potential there that if Joshua Dobbs can match with consistency week in and week out, I mean, that's starting caliber quarterback play.
Well, it's what we talked about on the postgame show. Like, it's one thing for Dobbs to do this as a placeholder game manager on a loaded team. He's doing this on what people think is the worst team in the NFL. Like, he's going to get offers next offseason. Like, are the Cardinals going to be able to keep him around? Maybe. I think I'm 2 words, comp pick. Like, he's a free agent after this year. And if he gets a robust contract, I mean, like, Cardinals will get a comp pick for him. They could get a 4th round comp pick for Joshua Dobbs. If Joshua Dobbs wins like 2 more games and doesn't throw an interception, even when Kyler Murray comes back, hell, they could get a trade offer at the deadline this year. Somebody could say, we need Joshua Dobbs to come and run around for our team. We lost our starter. I mean, I'm happy for him. I don't think the Cardinals, Ossenford and Gannon, would want any part of blocking Joshua Dobbs from going elsewhere and having success. I think that's the story of, like, you want to be able to sell yourself. Like the Niners with all these personnel guys and coaches are getting promoted. They get these comp picks right. They are known for a place where people go. It's a stepping stone to bigger and better things. Like, go there and they'll take care of you. The Cardinals want to be known like that franchise now. Hey, Josh Dobbs, trust us with your development. We're going to trade for you. We're putting you in a position to succeed, not get your brains beat in. And he's going to get a contract now because of it. That's right. The antithesis of what the Cardinals have been for the better part of like the last 10 years, save for Bruce Arians. Like, you come here and in times you're tough, right? Like Rodney Hudson's just collecting checks into retirement, right? That's the opposite of what they want to do now. Dobbs can go and say, the Cardinals did right by me. I was a 3rd stringer in Cleveland. I wasn't given an opportunity. I competed last year in Tennessee. Like, people, you want to talk about courting free agents and people shitting on this franchise and their facility, and rightfully so. That's how you get people back on your side.
Yeah, come to Arizona. You're going to get an opportunity probably unlike that you've ever had at the NFL level. We're going to coach you up. We're going to put you on full display, and you either can stay here and be a part of the solution and the consistent winning culture that we're putting in place, or you can go get the bag and you can go parlay that opportunity into another one elsewhere. I don't think it's. I know you probably don't think it would be realistic to deal him at the deadline. And I think with the injury that Kyler Murray's coming back off of, you just hold on to Joshua Dobbs throughout the season. It's just, he has been a football godsend. He really has, on and off the field, the way that he's endearing himself to his teammates, you know, from Michael Wilson to Zach Ertz, texting with those guys all the time, having conversations. Greg Dortch speaks very highly of him. He did today. Joshua Dobbs has been the model teammate, quarterback, and he wasn't even in the building until the end of August. It's unreal. It's an unreal story.
Well, I mean, he's the model teammate because this model podcast brought it up before anybody else that this is who they wanted. And again, I'm not going to toot our horn, but I might go celebrate because we were so right on Joshua Dobbs with a Polar Pop from my friends at Circle K, iced coffee fountain drinks. Hell, I might save 25 cents per gallon on gas fill-ups the first 5. I'm going to hook you guys up too. Join the Circle K Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Again, terms and conditions apply. It's America's thirst stop. It's making me thirsty. I want a Circle K bonus per gallon, 25 cents. Right now, fill up. And then I'm going to go inside and fill up my fountain drink. I don't know, 2 for the price of 1. Iced tea, unsweetened for your boys. Circle K, I got one down the street from me here in good old Chandler, Arizona. It's my go-to thirst stop. I can't wait to see my friends tonight at Circle K. Love it. Check them out. Inner Circle's waiting for you.
It's nice that your Circle K out there and Chandler's playing at least second best to mine here in Central Phoenix, right on the corner of Bethany Home. I love it. It's my go-to spot. Hit it up just about every day, getting them for morning coffee, getting them for afternoon Polar Pops, getting all that caffeine and snack fix at Circle K. I'm part of the Inner Circle as well. I'm cool. I'm also cool because I've got my Shady Rays shades. If you haven't figured out or found out about Shady Rays, what are you doing? Go to the website, shadyrays.com. Check out their entire product line of all their incredible premium polarized sunglasses, a world-class product, but you don't have to spend the money like it's a world-class product. Actually, they keep their price point well below $100, and you can save even more money when you use the code PHNX. You get 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades from Shady Rays, and they've got that, of course, replace. You can figure out if you lose your Shady Rays, you can actually, they'll replace them, lost or broken. It doesn't matter what happened to them. Even if you've owned them for less than a day, they are going to replace them. No questions asked. It's exclusive to our listeners, that 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized sunglasses. Use that promo code PHNX for 50% off and find out why 250,000 people have rated them 5 stars. 250 large, saying, yeah, these are amazing sunglasses. Find out for yourself.
I just love when the national media has to eat crow on walkback predictions, right? Because, over the course of the offseason, this podcast, we're taking shots, taking arrows, trying to be optimistic because we saw the good in this team. And then, you look around the NFL landscape and so many teams,
Johnny, they were going to go 0-17, winless.
The Chicago Bears had an 8.5 over under, and a lot of people, they were the darlings of the NFL offseason.
Our guy Gary Braggs is wearing a bag permanently right now because of the Chicago Bears and the state of their franchise.
Don't show him this tweet from the NFL Twitter folks, but circa July. Damon Dog, throw it on the screen. Get ready to win. Daryl Mooney's message to Bear fans. When will the wins come? We're not yet sure. The Bears are 0-3, and they look like the biggest dumpster fire. Get ready to win. Get ready to suck. Your team's terrible for the second consecutive year. I saw that today come up on my Twitter timeline. I had to send it to Damon and have it for the show. It just goes to show, like, no one really knows at the end of the day. These poor saps, could they win 1 game? Could they win 2 games? Justin Fields can't complete passes. Justin Fields had more punt attempts as a team offense than he did completions last week against Kansas City. I tee that out because it's time. I don't know how many more weeks we're going to do this. We're going to check the odds for the first overall pick, circa 2024's NFL draft. And who is at the top of the list? Our friends at CHGO, the Chicago Bears. Almost 40% alone with their pick. They're 50%. You just flip a coin, the Bears are going to have the first pick between their pick with Carolina and the Chicago Bears, Bo Brock.
Oh man, our friends, it's tough times for CHGO and DMVR. They got a big showdown. It's the Toilet Bowl this weekend. It's the team that just got 70 hung on them somehow is a favorite over the Chicago Bears. But they're at 39.3% with their own pick. And then you're right. Yeah, they get the Carolina pick in there as well. And then Denver at 9.4%. The Arizona Cardinals, rest in peace, or at least on temporary hiatus. Tank Tuesday, one of my favorite traditions here on PHX Cardinals, has had to take a back seat because the Cardinals aren't even in the top 5% for a top pick. Unbelievable.
Pour one out for Tank Tuesdays. The Cardinals, by the way, have a 4% chance now. Houston, a better chance.
Yeah.
I think over 6 on that graphic. But
play the sad "My Heart Will Go On" flute recording right now. My heart will go on to a top pick in Tank Tuesday. Oh,
it's all right. I'll take Dubs on Sunday. Over.
Can I have
over
Marvin
Tank.
Harrison Jr. still, please? Don't let him go to Chicago. What are they going to do with him? Are you ready for winning?
Oh, you ready for 0-3? Oh my God! Just you look up you think Jason McIntyre's referencing those tweets today? No, of course not. Like everybody can talk their shit and they can be wrong, and it's great to see. So I thought I'd bring that up, Bull Brock, because again, like Cardinals could very well lose this game this weekend. They're not favored to win. We know that, but I mean, like it's a long season, and if they're competing like this without their franchise quarterback, I think about. Damon, can we pull the schedule up? I don't want to do this every week.
Yeah.
But I do think, let's hypothetically say that they get an upset this weekend. And that's asking a lot, right? And they would move to 2-2. Let's play hypothetical. They're 2-2 somehow. They somehow beat Brock. Brock Purdy has a terrible game. They're off that day. How many wins do they end the season with? Let's say Kyler Murray comes back between week 6 and 8. How can the Cardinals get to the postseason if they start the season 2-2?
Yeah. I'll play Michael Scott here in this hypothetical. I'm ready to get hurt again and raise those expectations and potentially take a loss against a wagon of a Niners team. How many wins?
How many wins? If they're 2-2, how many more wins on the schedule? I'm going to tell you right now, I see at least 5 more wins. I think they go 3-3 in the division.
Okay. With 2 of those well, so you've got to win against the Niners in this hypothetical?
Yeah, and then I think I mean they could, if they beat the Niners, I'll have to revise it. Then maybe split with the Rams and the Seahawks and the Niners.
So they would just split each series? I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here. As much as this was a huge win.
When are we allowed to have this conversation again?
No, I know. And it could, this could be very short-lived, and we could bring back Tank Tuesday before you know it. But I mean, this rebuild, it's more of like a long-term endeavor, and to start, I think that's just getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. Like they got to, if they can compete for a 4th straight week, I'm all in on that. But
you got to see it one more time. You got one more in you.
One more upset.
One more competitive outing before you're going to say they're knocking on the door.
But I just don't. I think if they show they can be competitive, I mean, we're looking at each and every week that they've got a legitimate chance of winning a football game. I think that's the culture that's already in place. You know, like we heard from Greg Dortch today. We've got this clip from the All Purpose Podcast. We joined Saul Bookman and myself, and you know, he kind of got the sense like. Nobody was betting on the Arizona Cardinals, but there was one entity that was betting on themselves and believed that they could win on Sunday. This is from Greg.
If I'm being completely honest, it felt like the only people that thought we were going to win that game to begin was us. And people could say, yeah, we thought y'all were going to win, but come on, let's be real. Like you see the Cardinals, we struggled early in the season, and then you got the Dallas Cowboys, who everybody claims, you know what I'm saying, Super Bowl team, really good team. So we really didn't have a shot. And the only people that matter is the people in that locker room. And we stuck together, and we played hard, man. We celebrated because of it.
And that's all you need, right? I mean, and he's right. There's people that, like I told you, like that. I knew you guys had it in you, and all that really mattered was at the end of the day, they prepared their ass off last week for Dallas and had a great game plan, and it was executed at a high level. And they got the dub, right? And the same can be said going into this week, and that they believe in all 53 of those guys on the roster and guys on the coaching staff to put them in a position to compete and win again. But, you know, if you're asking me to go through the schedule, because then, like, if they beat the Niners on Sunday, like, anything's possible. Like, then if they can beat Dallas and the Niners in back-to-back weeks, then they sure as shit should be able to beat the Bengals and the Rams and the Seahawks. I mean, that rock rolling down the hill, it's only going to gain momentum.
They should be 2-1 at minimum right now. The Giants game, it took a miraculous comeback. They were leading in the 4th quarter against Washington. I mean, like, it's not like they were outplayed for 2 games and they picked up a win in their 3rd game. Like, they've controlled all 3 games into the 4th quarter. So I'm with you. Like, when it was 16 game season, you would break it up into 4 different parts. Like, are you a believer after a quarter of the season? That's a quarter of the season for the most part will be over after this weekend. If they have a competitive outing, they beat the Niners this weekend. Like, you don't think that the players in the locker room are going to think like, we can make a run?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we?
And look, a loss this weekend also doesn't undo everything that they've done.
Correct.
You know,
I agree with that.
It's just like what Prime's doing in Colorado, right? I mean, getting their ass kicked by Oregon doesn't undo everything, and it doesn't take away the momentum and the direction that the program is going. So, I think that there is newfound confidence and newfound belief with the rest of the schedule that they can compete week in and week out. You know, obviously with the coaching staff where they put them in a position to do it, but it also is going to come down to the roster matching up and winning those one-on-ones. And with San Francisco, there might not be a tougher one-on-one matchup across the board in the NFL.
I want to get some of these super chats. You guys are crushing it. DD $4.99. Thank you so much. PHNX needs a new t-shirt, either on the bus theme or something on JG's first win. It's funny you should ask for that. We're in the lab right now coming up with a concept for our next t-shirt from the merchandise locker. And you bet JG could potentially be incorporate some themes of the Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon. But we're nothing yet to report on that. Alex $4.99, not related, but can you please debunk the idea, Bo, of trading Buddha to Philly? Eagle fans really think they're going to get him when he comes off of IR. I mean, like, when is he coming off of IR? Is it after the trade deadline?
Right.
What kind of value would you be able to get for him? It's not like he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. He's not playing, period. So I would say there's a 0% chance that happens.
And dreaming's free, Philly. You guys can do whatever you want. I mean, I think that is as far-fetched as it gets. There would be some dead cap ramifications that they would have to absorb. Why would you do that at this point? And do you think Budda Baker is upset with how things are going right now here with this Arizona Cardinals team? There's no way that's going. I believe he's bought into what's going on, and the idea that the injury that he suffered Friday, the practice before their week 2 game against the New York Giants is not legit, is absurd to me. And yeah, that's not happening. I mean, Philly's just completely out of their mind, and most of their fans for believing that rumor.
And the Eagles and Howie Roseman filed a tampering charge. You think the Cardinals want to do business?
Yeah.
One of their
Yeah.
best
Hey,
players?
buddy, old pal, you want to make a deal?
You want to give us a Budda Baker for a 6th round pick? Let's do it. Come on. Hector, $5 super chat. Gotta love the silent assassin JG. Cool, calm, and collective on the sideline. It's refreshing to see a competent coaching staff. Doesn't get too up or too down. I mean, very, very even keeled. Like
I was trying to prod Dortch today on the podcast, like, hey, we saw a pretty subdued JG post game. What was he like in the locker room? And he was like, hey, it wasn't much more than that. I mean, he said a couple things that he was fired up about, of course, in front of his guys instead, when he's not talking to us. But he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low.
We had people tell this show, and of course, like, we're big fans of Jonathan Gannon. Like, Gannon was a big part of their success in Philadelphia, like, in the locker room. He had a presence about him, and players followed him. And, like, I don't want to say he was co-head coach with Sirianni, because that'd be disrespectful to Sirianni. But, like, I do know he admitted this to either The Athletic or Sports Illustrated. Like, it was his idea to have Shane Steichen call plays. Like, this moment is not too big for him, right? Like, Cliff Kingsbury, we saw, like, had never been a successful head coach. Like, he wasn't ready to tackle the NFL rigors of the locker room. He felt very much like a puppet at times. And like, Jonathan Gannon has been bred for this, has been molded for this, dating back to his time in Minnesota and Indianapolis. Like, he has a presence about him. Players follow him, and like, clearly, like, players are busting their ass right now for their head coach, Bo Brock.
We asked former NFL safety who's good friends with Jonathan Gannon, Andrew Sendejo, when there was the rumors of JG being in for the Cardinals coaching job, when there were names being bandied about, like Brian Flores and Mike Kafka and Lou Amaruno. And he'd said, what characteristic does JG display that would make him a really good head coach? And he said his ability to connect with players, with the modern day player. And you're seeing in Denver, no matter with the Hall of Fame resume that Sean Payton has, there's a disconnect there with his ability to connect with the modern day players. There's a disconnect with Vance Joseph and his ability to connect with his defensive players, and there has been for a while. And that's why things are not going well there, right? And that's why things are going well here. Is JG, Nick Rollis, Drew Petzing are connecting with their players, and their messaging is resonating with those players, and it's building a belief that they can compete, even though everybody else says they can't compete. So it's that is very unique. So I mean, the Cardinals are in a really great spot with Gannon there, and it's encouraging for Cardinals fans because that spot, it hasn't necessarily been the case.
Not since Bruce Arians, that's for sure. Deuce in the comments, super chat, $5. Thank you so much, Deuce. I wonder if the soon video that K1 put out could be seen as a me first instead of team first. Coach didn't seem happy about that. Get your number 9 jersey. I don't know about that. I mean, this coaching staff, we're going to take them at face value, has loved the engagement and the incorporation and attentiveness of Kyler Murray this offseason. Like I think Kyler Murray is trying to get people fired up because he wants to come back and he wants to show everybody I'm working my ass off to play football as soon as possible. And I don't think, I mean, like that's not Joshua Dobbs knows this is Kyler Murray's team this year when he comes back. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure Joshua Dobbs, he said this to you and everybody else at the media, Bull Brock, like he's leaning on Kyler Murray. They talk all the time. There's a cohesiveness. Like we knew last year there was a disconnect with Cliff and Kyler where they didn't speak. They used Cam Turner as a buffer. Like that's not happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kyler Murray, I think has team buy-in right now, and they want him back to try to win games. And I don't think they have an issue with what he's posting on social media.
JG's not ignorant to the fact that players these days are on social media. And I think if he tried to deny that, it would go poorly for him. And I think as long as Joshua Dobbs or Kyler Murray or whoever's out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, that they understand that they can convey their message, build their brand, and play the game that everybody plays these days. Hell, the Kelsey brothers have a podcast, and also not give up, obviously, information that is so valuable that you want to keep a smokescreen in front of each and every week as an NFL team. And as long as they can, walk that line, and so far everybody has, and I think Kyler Murray putting soon on his TikTok, I think Jonathan Gannon can use it to his advantage to a degree, right? I mean, he was trying to play up a quarterback position that, you and I, we saw right through that, right? And he tried to use that as a competitive advantage. So, I just don't think he's upset by a TikTok, and I don't see that as a me thing from Kyler Murray. Did you see Kyler Murray on the sidelines on Sunday, just gassing up and rooting for his guys and having just as much fun celebrating with his teammates as if he was a part of that win, on the field?
I mean, it was as elated as Kyler Murray's been since, throwing a game-winning touchdown last year against the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, he's licking his chops, and he's got belief, and vice versa, that this coaching staff, this is a big boy staff now. These guys have been around the NFL, and I think Kyler Murray is poised for a really nice year because of the fact that everybody seems to be on the same page. There's not a disconnect, and I think Baldy spoke about that earlier in terms of being able to be 100% committed, and I think he has been. We're going to find out what that's going to look like on Sundays sooner rather than later. Speaking of Sundays, you can participate Splash Sports every football Sunday. It's PHNX weekly pick X and Survivor contest for real money. I got 12 picks right last weekend. How did you do? I didn't get my Survivor pick right. I'm not going to talk about that. Definitely didn't put it on the Dallas.
Who'd you pick?
I definitely did.
Son of a gun.
Splashsports.com/PHNX. There's a link in the description. Sign up, deposit some cash, and get started. It's just $5 to enter, guys. It's the best pick'em contest there is. We're going to be running weekly contests throughout the year. Keep that link handy. I actually did Houston Texans against the Jags. I had the Jags coming off a loss, and it just blew up in my face. But again, you're tired of being a commissioner in your old league, chasing people down. That's not going to happen this year. You can sign up right through our link. You can become a commish and earn money for the contest you're already running with friends and families. Head to splashsports.com/PHNX to join in. We'll have different contests coming out. We're so stoked about it. Check them out in the description. Love the NFL season because I love pick'em season, Bo Brock.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. And Splash does it better than anybody else. Splashsports.com/PHNX. Also, go to gophnx.com. Our beat reporter, Howard Balzer, just notified us. He's got a brand new article up on the website, gophnx.com, breaking down the Cardinals draft class that has been so impressive through 3 weeks of the season. Talking to Michael Wilson, talking to Keitrell Clark, Paris Johnson Jr., 6th overall pick, has been so refreshing to see them hit on a pick that high and at that position. Monty Awesomeforth, he had the Midas touch, it felt like, in the 2023 draft room. Read more into it, what the snap counts are telling about it. Howard Balzer, great article already up. GoPHNX.com. You can get full access to GoPHNX.com also by becoming a diehard today. And becoming a diehard, you also get a free t-shirt. Why not use it on the Greg Dortch new release t-shirt right there? We're talking about we're in the lab working on a new shirt, but we've already got some bangers up there as well, including this Greg Dortch shirt. Go to PHNXlocker.com and pick out all the great cards gear that we have at the PHNXlocker.com. Become a diehard, get more involved in this growing Cardinals community that we're honored to be a part of. Get access to the Discord. We're talking each and every game day, during the game, breaking it down, going through that glass case of emotion each and every game day together, just like we do on a show day in the chat. We're doing it in the Discord. Only way to access that, become a diehard.
Pouring out for Tank Tuesdays. It makes me sad, Bo Brock, because I had to put away my little Sailor Boy tank top. But I'm going to tell you right now, I have a perfect pairing if we have to bring that back. Our friends at FOCO have, I don't know if you can see this, an Arizona Cardinals captain's hat.
Ooh.
I can be Sailor Boy for real with our friends at FOCO. That's the cool shit you're going to find at FOCO. Even more, they're a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise. I've got this JJ Watt bobblehead. I've got a fire retro jacket. You guys have seen it. I'm going to sport it as the temperature hopefully drops at some point here in the Valley. Come be a Sailor Boy with me, with our friends at FOCO. Always have our back with Arizona sports. Visit FOCO.com. Use that bonus code PHNX for all non-pre-sale volumes. Like this hat, it's $35. We're going to get you 10% off. Again, check it out. Robust bobbleheads, giveaways, whatever you want. Check them out. FOCO.com. I would love to wear my Sailor Boy hat, if I get it in time, to this weekend's BetMGM watch-along party. Bo
Yeah,
Brock,
join us.
Sportsbook.
It's going to be elite because we've got 2 tickets to the Cardinals Week 5 home game against the Cincinnati Bengals. You saw the Bengals and Joe Burrow pull one out last night against the Rams. They seem to be heating up. Why not go see that Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins passing attack, Lou Armadillo, don't call me Lou Amaruno, the defensive coordinator who turned it on in the second half against Matthew Stafford and crew. But we got 2 tickets, and they're solid tickets that we're going to be giving away. And the only way you can win them is joining us live at the BetMGM Sportsbook in Glendale, outside of the stadium on the Great Lawn, hanging out during the Cardinals game, watching it, hamming it up with you guys. I've got some T-shirts as well I'm going to be giving away. So join us at the BetMGM Sportsbook on Sunday for the Cardinals-Niners game, and hopefully we get to watch together another Cards upset win.
You keep saying you're giving T-shirts away. Like, can I have one of the T-shirts?
No.
Am I available to take one? Okay.
You
that's
don't
rude.
qualify.
It's also rude not to subscribe PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcasts. Again, check it out if you haven't seen the Greg Dortch podcast. Despite my co-host presence on that show, Greg dished out all the goodies today at 12:35 p.m. with our guy Saul Bookman and company, talking about the big dub. PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports, your go-to for premier Arizona Cardinal coverage, content, and more. Like and subscribe. We are closing in on 20,000 subscribers here on the YouTube page. Hit that notification button so you know every single time your boys go live. For Bo Brock, I am Johnny Venerable. We are back tomorrow on a Wednesday. Peace.